we hope to promote peace, justice, and strong institutions through a discussion of the water crisis. The water crisis is the lack of access to a clean, potable water source. This water scarcity is no respecter of persons and is a problem occurring throughout the world today. Our mission is to spread awareness about the water crisis to high school students and to encourage these students to help solve the crisis on the individual and community level. We will do this by reaching out to high school faculty and asking them to play our presentation to students at the beginning of their class periods. We hope this virtual presentation will mobilize students to undertake this humanitarian responsibility, and by doing this, will ultimately help reach the United Nations Sustainable Developmental Goal number 16. 2.1 billion people, which is 29% of the world, do not have access to safe drinking water. The World Health Organization and UN have found massive disparities in access to clean water by country, with 99.02% of Americans having access to clean water, whereas only a striking 10.54% of the Ethiopian population have access to clean water. There are many countries in the same boat as Ethiopia, all of which are starving of justice and basic human rights. Significant components in examining the safety of water is whether it is free from microbiological or chemical contamination. Improved water sources include water pipes, boreholes, protected wells, rainwater collection, and more, but these are often not maintained by local government institutions or even built in the first place. In locations without immediate access to clean water, women and children spend an average of 6 to 8 hours each day walking on average 3.75 miles to collect water. Jerry cans can weigh up to 44 pounds, and women and children must shoulder these back and forth. The demanding amount of time it takes for children to fetch water prevents them from getting an adequate education at school. The current low education rates weaken the foundation and potential for strong institutions.
The water crisis can also be linked to chronic malnutrition, which affects over 160 million children around the world. Having access to clean water for sanitation can save over 297,000 lives every year from diseases like cholera and typhoid. Every 2 minutes, a child dies because they do not have access to clean water. Issues with diarrhea, malaria, HIV and AIDS, sanitation, hygiene, safety of food consumption, and infectious diseases are all exacerbated by lack of immediate access to clean water. The decreasing access to safe and clean water also impacts the education of youth. Due to having to assist their families in collecting water, children have less opportunity in school. 33% of schools do not have access to safe water. This lack of sanitation can also affect the amount of students who attend. The water crisis can also be economically detrimental. The time spent collecting potable water instead of being spent working has caused $260 billion in economic opportunities to be lost every year. The increase in health risks significantly increases healthcare expenses. Over $18 billion could be saved each year with access to safe drinking water. This water crisis occurring around the world has a significant impact on different ecosystems. Wetlands alone provide natural water filtration, flood and storm protection for our communities, and a site for growing rice, which is a part of the diet of half the population in the world. The decreasing quality and quantity of these water sources due to pollution and excessive irrigation creates food shortages and increases the mortality rates in infants while shortening life expectancy for adults.
In addition to the mentioned issues related to water access and scarcity in many parts of the world, there is an aspect that should be also taken seriously. Due to the lack of water in many parts of the world, and as occurs with any other resource when its quantity decreases significantly, along with natural demand not only for human consumption but also for industrial processes, competition and potential conflict arises. According to the author Brahma Shalini in her book Water, Peace and War, The battles of tomorrow are likely to be over the most precious of all natural resources, water. Therefore, there is a high chance that conflicts between nations develop in the future. Having this in mind, it is important that the United Nations acknowledges this issue with a holistic perspective and realizes that the water crisis over the world is not only affects the quantity of life of millions of people, but also threatens the relative peace we have today. This is why the United Nations should promote the implementation of a global agreement where countries compromise to respect water rights to other nations. Shalini proposes that by increasing the number and power of international water sharing agreements, there is a hope for preserving our planet's freshwater resources and avoiding major conflicts. Some of the activities or productive sectors that contribute to water scarcity are agriculture, manufacturing, and energy sectors. They should invest in technologies that find ways of reducing water consumption. Those investments could be desalination, recycling wastewater and recovering contaminated water sources, promoting efficiency and infrastructure maintenance, improve water catchment and harvesting, look to community-based governance and partnerships, and shrink corporate water footprints, among many others. To guarantee the impact of these actions, it is necessary that a chain of international cooperation is created, especially those who have shared freshwater resources that could be potentially in the future, if not already, a reason for conflict.
How can you help? In addition to previously mentioned organizations, there are lots of foundations around the world addressing this issue. One of these organizations is the One Drop Foundation. This foundation is helping to promote the clean water access in countries like India, Mexico, Haiti, Colombia, and other countries in the African and Asian continent through community work and social collaboration. The Embrace Relief Foundation is another significant organization working in several African countries to improve their quality of life by providing this source to more than 350,000 people in this continent. They promote conscientization campaigns where they show the reality of some communities in Africa and the change that helping can produce. Finally, another group working on this problem is the Who Lives Foundation, whose work is not only guided to provide clean water to people, but also creating a social impact by training people at African communities to give them jobs at their projects, therefore improving the quality of life at this place and giving people new opportunities.
Now, what can I personally do? Although we may think that our actions may not have a major impact on the battle with the water crisis and its implications on world peace, there are some small actions that have a high impact if consistently taken and replicated among our closest social circle and family. Some of those actions can be taking shorter showers, installing low-flow toilets, collecting rainwater for different uses such as plant watering, reusing gray water, eradicating leaks and other water inefficiencies, and just in general, investing in sustainable energy and water reduction initiatives.
The water crisis is a major problem that affects millions of people around the world and is the cause of thousands of deaths every day. But you can make a difference. Something as easy and simple as reducing your water consumption can make a major difference. There are also some other programs that you can get involved in, such as water.org and WaterAid, in addition to the ones previously mentioned. Use the knowledge gained in this video to guide your future actions and make a difference. Remember that small actions can make a big change.